Hello, friends. Welcome to an all-new edition of Talking Champions. I was wanting to say the Riverland Roofing Studios. We're, of course, not the Riverland Roofing Studios. We're outside the Manning Center because one Pete Golding, Ole Miss head coach, at the press conference, the last week of spring football is arrived. It feels like the rain is arriving too. We'll work through it. We'll work through it, Brad says. How's everybody doing? This is Jake Thompson. This is Brad Logan. I'm Ben Garrett. That little name down there, OMSpirit.com. This QR code is for the Ole Miss Spirit, OMSpirit.com. Please feel free to sign up today for $1 to try us out for 5 days. Jake, that's right?
Yes.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. What do you take from practice today? Or the press conference?
Feels like we're actually missing the good stuff this week. Because like you said, they're going to play move the ball stuff, play football. So I think we're missing all the fun scrimmage stuff that would give us, a better look instead of us guessing off of 12 minutes of punts the first 3 weeks. But, I think they're coming out as relatively unscathed. He seems happy about it. I kind of like this new structure. I know it's later in the year. There's no spring game. There was no scrimmages to watch. But I think for how Pete's going to run this program, I think he likes it because now there is a gap in May, but they're coming right back. Not like a month from now. So they have downtime. They're going to be right back at it in like 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, I don't know who asked that question, but it was a great question. What?
It was you.
Oh, give me a break. Who knew? It was a great question, but it's true because it's a tiered structure. It was a phase structure this spring. He really went into detail about what they'll be doing for the next couple of months. But this is the final week. It ends on Thursday. Friday is finals. What was your biggest takeaway, Brad, from what we heard from Pete Golding today, and also players Jonathan Maldonado and McPhee-McCuin, 2 transfers that Ole Miss added in the offseason?
I think we learned a lot about the Carius Current incident without learning a lot. Meaning, I think there was a lot of talking through the media. By the way, I wonder who learned that from. But I thought Pete Golding did a really good job today talking about accountability, about people making the right decisions. There were a couple of questions about certain players, if they're leaders on the team, can they kind of lead into the rest of the team and leading them in the right direction. But he essentially said, look, it's on Friday night before a game. Look, you have to be smart. And he talked a lot about that. And the direct quote was, it's a legal matter. I mean, there was a couple of things else he said, but that was pretty much it. But that, to me, jumped out to me about how he handled that, handling adversity with Carius Current. But the biggest part for me was Jonathan Maldonado. I was blown away with him. I mean, I thought he was great with the media. I thought he gave some very pointed and candid answers. He said, hey, quote, I want to come to Ole Miss because I want to win a championship. He talked about the food program here, the nutrition program versus Nevada. He's added 15 pounds. And I was just very impressed with him. I'm excited to see because he said, I'm just ready to play. He said, I'm ready to play a game. I'm excited to see him on the field and just to see because he is a menacing presence. I mean, he was huge. And at one point, you guys will see the video, if not today, later on the Ole Miss Spirit. That's affiliate of On3 at OMSpirit.com. Click that QR code, join us. And when he did his arms out like this, I mean, it was the huge wingspan. I asked him a question about, going up against the offensive line. He was complimentary of the tackles, specific to Rhett Davis. But those are the 2 things.
Well, it's interesting too, Jake, because when I was watching, it looked like Jonathan Maldonado. I'm trying to do like a player comp in my brain. The first person that jumped out to me was Tavius Robinson, who ended up being a 4th-round pick to the Ravens. Former Rebel who was a transfer, came in from Canada. Has had a great run in the NFL, was hurt last year. But he looks like a guy, does Jonathan Maldonado, that like Tavius Robinson, maybe less heralded or more unheralded than other transfers. But, dude, when you look at him, the 15 pounds he's gained, the need that they have there, he's one that could play a massive role for Ole Miss as early as next year. I mean, he has to. He's in it for his final year. But seems like the part Jackson, well, man, that's Tavius Robinson, too.
Yeah, he wore the right shirt. This is a wristband for test. I mean, he was in shape. I mean, that's another person who has told us that's just been willing to tell us. Double-digit pounds. And so Maldonado's put on 15. So for those who are wondering about strength and conditioning and all this, I think it's working. And of course, he's just that kind of matched up offensive that there's just I think how he stayed in Nevada for as long as he did. Maybe because maybe once you stay closer to home, but how that guy was not discovered somewhere else out of his home in Southern Cal, that is a physical specimen that Randall Joyner and Pete Golding know exactly what to do with him. And he's been one they hyped up along with great purchase. So I mean, I think I wrote it, you've said it, I think they have more than upgraded what they lost at the defensive end position.
This is Talk of Champions.
Yeah.
Hold on, Bradford, because a lot of people are coming in now, just now joining us. I'm Ben. He's Jake Thompson. He's Brad Logan, coming to you from the Manning Center after Pete Golding held his most recent spring practice press conference. We also talked to Jonathan Maldonado, Mekhi Frazier, running back from Michigan State is Frazier. We'll talk about him in a second, Brad. But the biggest story of the day coming in, obviously, was the status of Carius Kern after Meet the Rebels. He participated in Meet the Rebels on Saturday. He left, went to Arkansas, and got arrested. He was fleeing. He had a control, like I don't know what it's called, standard
Whatever,
six.
Schedule 6.
Schedule 6 in Arkansas, which I found out is pot and THC. You know what I mean?
I think it's the reckless driving and improper lane changing that probably did it for me. The rest is, in the relative scheme of things, the rest of that was not bad. I mean, it's bad, but it's like bad. And whatever he did to evade, we don't know where he was, but it's Crittenden County, so you could say somewhere in West Memphis, maybe seeing the dogs race if they still do that up there. But it's the reckless driving and the improper, which means unfortunately maybe a semi-chase of some kind occurred. So I believe those are obviously the two worst of the charges.
Yeah, and it's concerning for myriad reasons. Number one, the non-football reason, Carius Kern has not acclimated or ingratiated himself well since he got here. I'm not just saying it because of this. I'm saying it because of off-the-record conversations with sourcing people in that building right there that are doing their work here today, coaches, players, you name it. There was one incident in particular already in the spring when they had a motivational speaker for a team meeting, and he was just cutting it up and acting dumb, and then he asked a question that derailed the whole thing. There's no doubting the talent of Carius Kern. This was the number one prospect in Arkansas in his class 2 years ago. Former 4-star, everybody wanted him. The highest paid transfer for Ole Miss. But this is the latest, Brad, in a long, at least so far at Ole Miss, which is not long, it's been only a couple months, but a pattern of behavior that's concerning. And when you put that up against the backdrop of what they need him to be, even though you're hearing some things, nice reports about Therese Davis and offensive tackle is a concern after spring. This is the last week of spring, and I don't feel like they're any more settled than they were coming in. Maybe outside of Roy Therese has been the most consistent of the four, but Carius Kern, for the money he's making and for what they need him to be, this is about as bad a development as it can be. And the question on the screen that you saw was, what happens? There's no chance, in my opinion, that he's getting dismissed. No chance.
Nope.
No chance. But the question is it already approaching bust territory with where he's been so far? You know what I mean? Like, because he just hasn't given you the value you thought you were going to get.
No, we heard specifically, and once again, I said at the top of the show, Pete Golding very briefly said it's a legal matter, specifically in regards to Carius Kern. Non-specifically, he talked a lot about player development, about what it means to be an Ole Miss Rebel, what it means to take care of yourself on Friday night, what it means to be a leader. And the number one thing that jumped out to me is he said, guys, everybody in this room versus me right here, we've all made mistakes. So that tells me that absolutely he's not going to be dismissed. What it does tell me, though, is that rope is going to continue to shrink as long if it continues to make
shrink down to the minimum after that. I mean,
no doubt.
There should be. I mean, that's bad. What we just talked about.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's worse things you could do. You hope that didn't happen, but I think that rope. I mean, I think there is no more rope.
Because it had already been shrinking is what I was kind of pointing to. So, like, this is it all crescendo to this one really ugly moment. And now I don't think his future is in question. He's going to be a part of this program. But, yeah, it's kind of put up or shut up from this point forward.
I think John Garrison's going to be right on his rear end every practice from now on until whenever he's done here. I mean, I think I think he's made practice for himself, specifically himself, much more unenjoyable than for everybody else.
For those that are just joining us, Sam Smith just joined us, Sam Smith 4902 here on Talk of Champions. What happened with Kern? Just got here. He was arrested on Saturday.
Jake, by the way, Jake did a terrific job. I could never have said what all he said. So, Jake, run us through kind of what happened.
Well, we caught wind of it, and then we had to first find where.
During the baseball game.
During the baseball game.
Yeah.
But what I saw and others saw didn't say where it even he got arrested. So we had to kind of do some sleuthing there and found out Crittenden County, which is just West Memphis, basically just across the river. Got charged with reckless driving. You Schedule 6 paraphernalia, whatever that might be.
Pot and THC.
Improper lane change. I think I don't want to guess wrong on the rest, but those were the main highlights of it. And like I said earlier, the reckless driving and improper lane change means it wasn't like, hey, you're sitting on the side of the sidewalk.
Yeah.
It means a car was involved, and that's why I think those are the worst too.
Yeah.
Well, it was an interesting presser to listen to, specifically for guys we haven't heard a lot about. I asked specifically about Edwin Joseph, and I thought we learned something in the answer. First, that like Jordan Renaud, both of those guys were signed in the offseason as big-time four-star transfers as ranked in the portal from Florida State and Alabama, respectively. They were signed knowing that they weren't going to participate in spring ball, and that's something we didn't know about Edwin Joseph. We knew that about Jordan Renaud after there's some confusion once practice had started about his status. There was never a question about it reported. He had reported, but he was dealing with an injury. So same thing with Edwin Joseph. Neither has practiced. And then Tony Mitchell wanted to know about him too, who's moved down to linebacker, had some good things to say about him. But I thought it was interesting. There are still some questions. As much as this defense is made over, and as promising as the defense has been specifically this spring, it has the potential to be even better. And the foundation that they've laid this spring could be critically important as they get huge pieces back with or add to the fold guys like Edwin Joseph, who was already expected or signed to be a starter, knowing that you weren't going to be in the spring. So getting those updates and seeing some clarity there.
I didn't get a chance to ask this. I wanted to ask, obviously, with Keith Thomas along with Luke Farrelly, those are the linebackers everybody's kind of looking at. And I wanted to ask kind of how's the depth at the linebacker room. And I don't know if it was good or bad that Mitchell's kind of come down and played a little linebacker. I don't know if that means that maybe they're not getting Taj Butler, Ja'Cory Hobson, maybe they're not getting the depth that they like at linebacker. Maybe it's Mitchell is just unstoppable and they moving him down to be a tackle machine. I don't know. But I would like to know more about that linebacker depth.
I think I know what it is, what he's talking about specifically, because just like there's a move piece for the edge linebacker hybrid, there's a move piece for the linebacker safety hybrid.
Talked a little bit about being kind of diverse.
Yeah, like I could see Jonathan Maldonado playing a lot of 9-eye, which is essentially what Prince will play predominantly. The thing about 9-eye is that you want that guy, which is the edge that stands up, but it has some coverage responsibilities to actually be able to cover people. Princeville couldn't, but they had a shortage of personnel. Now they have a little bit of an abundance and surplus of personnel at those positions specifically. Now, Jordan Renaud, you don't have the Cam Franklin 1B to whenever he needs to move inside. Like if he moves inside to the 5 tech or the 3 tech. But right now, that 9-eye, I think, is in a better position than it was at all last year because it had to be Princeville and it took him until mid-October. Now it's Santarin to start, but like you could see guys like Maldonado and whatever. But Tony Mitchell, that's what he's doing for the linebacker safety piece. Because like when Santarin moves or when Luke Farrelly or Keaton Thomas, like Taj Butler and Tony Mitchell could play massive roles in terms of their coverage ability and those borrowed versatile responsibilities that also come with the safety, more specifically with Tony Mitchell.
Jake, I want to ask you, Jaheim Otis to me is just a dynamic topic in Oxford because of his yeoman's role all the way to Alabama. Then he's at Colorado, did not have a good, a good time there in Colorado, comes back home. I think by Pete not answering my question tells me that he's on a good path. I think if he had not been on a good path, he might have deviated a little bit, but he didn't.
Well, yeah, I think Pete knew him, and Pete knew what he was getting. I think, in this kid, everybody was like, "Well, do we want him? Do we not?" Him hog, because I think when he went to Colorado, Ole Miss was maybe in on him a little bit there too. That he went to Dion in Colorado, didn't work out. But I think if there's anybody that may know about a kid's personality and know how to handle it, it's Pete. I mean, if you had him in Alabama, that kid's going to know what Pete expects because Pete was expected from the guy above him in Nick Saban. So I don't think we have to worry about Otis. Maybe not being a complete player. I think they're going to get that. And to add to what you are talking about, maybe that means they've got something special for Perkins this year. If they've got a surplus of guys they can move in, maybe he's going to be a spy more. Maybe he's going to do what we hoped he could do more. And he doesn't, we were kind of lumping him in with, they moved him around, and he's not really producing all the time like Harold Perkins at LSU. So, there's a silver lining. Maybe that means Perkins is going to have a bigger, better role that fits his style, and Pete knows that kid in and out since high school. So there's a lot of positives to take from today and all those position movements.
I'm going to get to that just a second. Like one thing about Santarin that people need to understand is like he's playing now the position he's going to play in the NFL. When he came in, they just said, we're going to make you a pass rush specialist. You're a freshman. You have no idea what you're doing. You're swimming mentally and in the playbook. So they let him do what his raw ability can do, and that's get after the passer better than pretty much everybody. Went for 10.5 sacks. But like now he's playing the position that he's going to be playing in the NFL. But last year, just like with most positions, no one expected Ole Miss to win 13 games. Let's be real. No one expected Ole Miss to win 13 games, and so Centurion they could play him there, knowing they were going to lose something somewhere else, but also hoping guys like Prince Will stepped up and it happened. But now that he's got that under his belt, that year of that position that is new to him, he is a true linebacker in that way. Now you can start to open him up because you heard Jonathan Maldonado talk about how nobody knows the playbook like when Centurion Burger. Do you know what I mean? Like if I need a question, I go to Centurion, man, he's got it wrapped up, and now that can open up his game even more in that versatility you're talking about. From Trey Freifogel, the former Ole Miss wide receiver in the chat, I've heard through the grapevine Mitchell might be the sleeper of this class. Very physical tackling machine is what I was told. The tackling ability. That's why he's more of a he's no longer he's less of a safety and more of a linebacker now because the tackling is not the issue. He's just trying to learn how to play in the box more often because, like Pete said, he's still got that kind of defensive back mentality, Jake. But yeah, he's one that could absolutely be a great depth piece. He can play multiple or wear multiple hats for Ole Miss, the Ole Miss defense come the fall.
Yeah, I think this is that week where it's not cut week. These kids aren't getting cut, but Pete made it seem like this is that final week where they're going to maybe go close to 100%. I don't know if they've actually gone 100% in this spring. His health is still a priority for Pete and his staff and comes to the players because as he told us, he wants to get all the horses to the race, which is August. But I think that this week is going to help them sit down, and it's going to be kind of cut day as in, all right, this is our line of demarcation on each depth chart. These are the guys we like. And he kind of tip that hand when he was asked about the quarterbacks, and he said, well, really, we're all going to sit down next week and eval, because I think today he did not – I don't think they know who number 2 would be if something happened to Trinidad or if they just needed to give them a spell. That either that means they're all playing close or he's just keeping that part quiet, but he has tipped that I think depth chart week is next week internally, and that's going to help us hopefully when we see them out here at the end of July.
Hey, I want to ask real quick about the quarterback position. When he did not come out and say, yeah, it is Trinidad Chambliss, and I'm really excited about Deuce Knight, and then we've got a great room with Walker Howard. When he didn't come out and demonstratively say anything about Deuce Knight, is that because Deuce is kind of not getting where he needs to be, or is this maybe Walker Howard and A.J. Maddox are kind of putting some pressure on it?
Well, Baker said Deuce was ahead of schedule. Now, what his schedule is might have been different than what Pete's schedule, but I would assume they're close to the same. So I don't know.
It could be Pete not tipping his hand.
And it may be he's just not wanting to put it out there. And who knows why. But if you had a gun to my head, your head, and your head, I think we'd all say Deuce Knight number 2 is number 2.
Yeah.
I think that's not hard stretch to say. And Walker probably interchangeable with AJ, which, AJ, give him credit. He stuck it out. I mean, he's had guys come in above him and above him and above him, and he's never really gotten a chance, and he's still here. So, what that says, I don't know. But I honestly think that Deuce is number 2. But in terms of y'all talk about the linebackers and Tony Mitchell and all that, I think depth chart week is next week for them and what their roles are moving forward. And, once they get back come Memorial Day.
If Ole Miss had to go to another quarterback, it would be Deuce. That's who it would be. However, it does say something that he doesn't want to publicly profess.
Yeah.
Because, think about it. What is there to lose to say, Deuce would be the guy? I mean, Walker came back from ULL. ULL was supposed to be the spot that Walker went to.
He went home, and we thought he'd stay home, and then he came back. And now there's other tea leaves you can read in that, but it doesn't have anything to do with this. But I think he's got to know that
him and Kiffin didn't like each other for myriad reasons.
Well, there's the tea leaves.
But he was supposed to go to ULL and ball out for that 1 year to lower level school and then go to the pros. But now he's back at Ole Miss because he's a future coach. He's a future.
He got hurt last year too.
Yeah. Yes, but it didn't work out is the point. Yeah. I'm not knocking Walker. He's still a former 5, but it hasn't worked out for him. But from an ability to application standpoint, from the practice field to he's not as talented as Deuce, but yeah, that's he can go out there and move the offense in a spell, but you don't want him to be your long-term starter. AJ's not I don't know what AJ is, but let's be real. What does it hurt Pete, or what's the disadvantage to saying what it is other than Deuce needs? It just hadn't come along far enough in the playbook.
Here's what happened today: is someone asked about the schedule and about the season, and Pete independently was not asked this, but independently said everybody.
That's a 4-2-5. Somebody put at 2 tall, Paul 94. What defensive front? 4-2-5. Some 3-3-5 mix, especially when it goes to nickel.
And so Pete independently said everybody, quote everybody, is circling September 19th, the LSU game. I'm not even beginning to look at LSU. I'm looking at Louisville right now. And so to me, that is a coach that does not want to give any type of competitive advantage to anybody. That's why I don't think he said anything about backup quarterback. I truly believe that's how Pete's mind works, regardless of what the situation is.
Yeah, I don't think you don't. I'm with you. Like ultimately, I don't read much anything into it.
You don't lose anything by saying, "Man, we've got a great backup room." Thanks for the question.
Yeah, like it's just like Deuce would be the guy if they pull. I mean, that's what would happen. The main concerns coming out of spring are pretty, in my opinion, obvious. It's offensive tackle and offensive tackle. I mean, like that's what I'm thinking.
Until we see it, the secondary. Those have always been two question marks for ad nauseum. How many years in a row now? Offensive line, offense goes as those five guys go, and defense goes as far as their top of their defense goes. And I think they're better this year, and they got some surprise out of Kighton guys last year in Braxton, and they've added to it. But those are always the two question marks that we're always going to.
And now that we're listening to Pete, we're kind of feeling him out about how he answers question. You can tell it's been a little bit of a. They haven't been completely happy with Antonio Kighton. I mean, because the way that Pete answered the question today, he said, "Look, I've been having to challenge him, and he's gotten better." So I do believe he's going to be a huge piece of that defense. But I also think, kind of read between the lines there, maybe they're not incredibly pleased with how far the defensive secondary has been.
All right, our friend Dirty Eater is asking, what is that building far behind you? That's the south end zone. That's the football stadium. That's Vault, and that's James something. There's the Dr. Bernard Ship Family Gate. So Gates, this is the Manning Center right beside us. We went and did the press conference just a minute ago. Brad, get back in the shot. What are you doing?
I was letting everybody.
So that's what that is. It's we're right in front of Vaught Hemingway Stadium after just talking to Pete Golding. This is Talk of Champions. This QR code above my red hair, which I saw what you said in the chat, Mr. Carter. All right, I have showered multiple times every single day, sir. I've just been. That smell good, don't it?
The other one was white, by the way.
Thank you. That was a white NA. This is a great NA. I just got these gifted to me like on Friday from my guy Flip, and Coach O loved it, man. I met her in the hallway, and I was like, "You rep the NA?" And she was like, "Dude, I saw that immediately. I clocked it immediately." So you can hate, but yeah, we rep an NA right now. But we've showered. I'm kind of worried about the hair.
I talked to somebody close to Walker Howard, by the way. Loves Oxford, loves Ole Miss. And I could absolutely see him be a coach one day. Yeah. I was told that it's basically like having a coach on the field, in the locker room. So I think it's nothing but positives that Walker Jones has come back to Oxford.
I also think it's maybe some of that, like him not saying certainly. I think we got to remember who he also coached for. That was a Nick Saban thing. He would challenge. He would say, "I'm challenging the superstars on the team."
That's correct. Yeah.
So I think there's a hodgepodge of that.
Talking to the players,
I just can't see Kite have regressed when he's got the same coaches he had, unless he's just taken this is me speculating, this isn't us saying it, a lazy spring, which I don't see that either. Because when we get guys that are talking to us in camp, it's guys that they perceive as role players. So I don't think it's that. I think maybe he has had one or two bad days, but I also think it's a little bit of Saban-esque. I've got to challenge him. He said he was challenging a lot of guys we asked him about today.
There's a lot we'll get to, by the way.
So what's that little building right there, bro?
I'd never know. It's just been there boarded up since I've been in school.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's a long time ago.
It's a mystery building, bro. So now I just want to go kick it out and see what's in there.
There's a lot to get to. You can read all about it on the Ole Miss Spirit. That's an affiliate of On 3.
Raccoons.
Hit that QR code right up there, and that'll get you all the information. Ben, I want to get to a question you asked. It was really good. There'll be a ton of content from it. The off season, what's the plan? And Pete was pretty detailed about what he's got upcoming.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. The first thing he said was, "We have a plan, no matter where you are." That's the first thing he said. And what does that mean? Guys, what happens in professional football when they break from OTAs from the off season? They go home. All right.
He wants the guys to enjoy May.
Yeah. He said
they also got to log in and work out. I mean, they got to whatever they've got with them. Either it's on their own iPads or phone. They've got something. He said you've got to log in and show you did X, X, and X today.
But if you want to go to the fishing hole, Tuesday, Wednesday morning, just make sure you get your workout, as Jake said.
Do your push-ups on the boat.
Yeah, there you go.
And that's what stood out to me. It's like May is about decompression, and that's important. And then they come back in for June. All of them got school, which is not even secondary. It's like third dairy.
Which I'm shocked. We haven't heard a lot of June. It's always usually been July they've come in. So now he's
this is year round now, brother.
Well, yeah. So, but the fact he's gotten them all taken to the full summer school, obviously, which Austin kind of told us once before, they all are basically virtual once August gets here and then the football season. So, but I like that he's got them coming back in a month right after Memorial Day, and then they're here until the season's over.
Yeah. Well, there was a question on the screen I was going to get to, and then Brad took it off there.
Who's going to be the starters on defense?
Who do y'all think the starters on defense for the first game? All right, we're running a 4-2-5. That fourth defense, that's Sunterra and Perkins is a stand-up, kind of run the 9-eye. Two linebackers, Luke Farrelly and Keaton Thomas, William Eccles, Cam Franklin, and who do you think will be the third, the second defensive tackle right beside William Eccles?
I tackle is Eccles, but I don't know about ends. I feel like I've got figured out, but the inside outside of Eccles feels like one that would we may not know yet.
Yeah,
I mean, it could be one of these. Maybe they're sandbagging on Jaheim Otis, man. Maybe he comes out, starts, and he goes nuts in Nashville.
Michael Borio needs to be that guy, but he needs to lose 15 pounds.
So is it Purchase or Maldonado on the other side, and do they
I
rotate?
can't imagine Maldonado. Man.
Well, it depends on what they come out in. Like, are they going to come out with a fifth defensive back like a Sharif Denson in the nickel?
Yeah.
Like, you can't start all these guys.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm thinking Sunterra and Perkins standing up, like, very first snap, and it'll change the second snap because the packages and stuff.
The biggest question should be not the starters, but what 15 significant players will play on defense in the first half against Louisville.
What I've always noticed since Pete's been here, when I do those snap counts on Sunday morning, is
Right.
they're low. And they're low and they're equal for everybody. Pete, and we've all seen this. Pete rotates. He knows even when they didn't have depth, he had to. But now that they've had depth, he still rotates because now he knows, hell, we may have 16 games, 17 games. It's an NFL season. These guys are going to rotate.
Yeah.
And so when you sit there and go, oh, well, so and so played 40 snaps against Charlotte, and then somebody else played 62, I read nothing into that at all.
Joseph King, any more offensive linemen to add for depth? From where? Like, from where? There's not a second portal. There's not another. Like, you have what you have unless there's a reclassification of some kind.
Transfer?
Yeah, or a reclassification from high school. But even then, that's not going to help you for next year.
They're missing all the spring. Not with how they do it.
Yeah. So you have what you have. But for I want to finish that out for that question in the defensive backfield.
We need to get the defense back.
I'm assuming that it's going to be the corners, Antonio Kite or Jalen Braxton and Jay Crawford on the other side. And then if Edwin Joseph gets back, Edwin Joseph, Jonel Aguero, and Sharif Denson. If you make me guess, because I think they'll come out in 5 defensive backs.
I think Mitchell's going to play.
And this is all on paper. I mean, it's a really good paper, but it's all on paper. But it's been a while that you felt like they've had a surplus where you could rattle off multiple guys in a while for defense.
There's a lot of questions coming.
They've got more depth in 2024. Do they have the same quality of high-end talent? I don't know.
Yeah.
I know if you did a one-for-one comparison, all right, what made that 2024 defense historic? All right. On the defensive line, you had that badass defensive tackle nose, Walter Nolan. You got that, William Eccles. All right. Jared Ivey, comp. Cam Franklin. Cam's there if he hadn't surpassed him and what he can be. And Jay, I just won a friggin' Super Bowl in his rookie year as an undrafted free agent that was on the roster. Trey Amos at cornerback. I don't know if Jay Crawford's is what Trey Amos was, but that's the vision.
I'm buying Jay Crawford.
That's the vision. And you go into it that way. The top end talent isn't as proven. Chris Pupal. Well, Luke Farrelly or Keaton Thomas.
We don't know, but Pupal was really good, man.
Really?
If he
they missed him in January last year.
If he comes back, how much of a difference does he make?
That's
they beat Miami?
I think they win that Miami game. So I think they get one stop they didn't get. Or they may have had somebody more. It's all what ifs and whatever. But I think if you had Pupal that season, probably still goes the way it does. But that Fiesta Bowl, I think they win that game.
Well, bottom line, they gave up over 4 yards per carry, almost 5 against Miami, specifically 191 yards on the ground. Miami had 3 draft picks on that offensive line, including the top 10 pick to the Giants. That was a good offensive line, and they played like it to where guys that were undersized. Prince Will playing the 9-eye on an every down basis at that point against a top 10 starting plug-and-play tackle in the NFL. He got pushed around in the run game. Now, Sunterra is not – physically he's about the same as Prince Will. Let's be honest here. Faster. But now, if you're getting pushed around, look at the dude, the transformer that they just signed that we just talked to, Jonathan Maldonado, who could be a move piece, or if Jordan Renaud is what they expect him to be. So that's what I'm saying. The top-end talent, I don't know if it's one-for-one comparisons. Because like that, I'm going to have to see a defense be as good as that one. Princely, we haven't even talked about Princely, Ellen, for goodness sake.
When you left out on that 04 line.
Yeah, Princely, for goodness sake. Do they have –
everybody that couldn't come back got drafted on that line.
Yes, that was a legitimately defense. Top end talent, but depth of options, I don't think there's any doubt they have more depth of options. Does that lead to more wins? I don't know. But that team only won 9 in the regular season off of silly, dumb stuff. And this defense, I think, is comparable with an offense last year that won 13 games and set a record for total offense.
So the question to both of you now is, what are the 2 players? Right now, we've talked a lot about defense. I think we kind of know what the offense is going to be. Sure, there's a couple of question marks about wide receiver, running back room, offensive line tackle. We get it. But defense, to me, is what we've all been talking about. Give me two players that you're going to be looking for when it comes to defense, Jake. I'll start with you. Tell me the two players that you're going to be pinpointed on. All right, I want to see what those two players do because they're going to be a huge component of how good this team's going to be.
Well, I think you got to start with Luke Ferrelli because obviously, supposedly he's going to be the green dot. He's going to be the quote unquote quarterback of it, and obviously all the spotlight that fell on him for all the reasons we've known about. That's one. And then I think these defensive ends we talked to and Purchase and Maldonado today. Those are the two I think are the biggest key because those are the ones that put the most emphasis on. So for me, it's Ferrelli who's going to be apparently the green dot guy, and then one of those two defensive ends we talked to.
I was disappointed in myself because I was going to ask him specifically. All right, is it Luke or Keaton is the green dot guy? But I don't think it matters. Like both of them can quote be the green dot guy. Yeah,
it's just it'll be like when Pooh was here 2 years ago.
Yes.
I think it's going to be switch it out.
Yeah, it's whatever it needs to be depending on package and matchup and all that. Like Jonathan Maldonado was kind of undersold here, but like one of his quotes that really stuck out to me is he talked about how like Pete in this defense and specifically uses players to their strengths. Well, that's pretty generic, right? Of course it is. But like he was a every down defensive end at Nevada. Every down. Like it didn't matter if he wasn't good against the run, if he couldn't do this, it was asked to this, moved it. He was an every down defensive end because that's what he had to be. Here, he can play to what he does best. And that length is insane to where, especially on pass rushing situations, man, I could see Jonathan Maldonado sliding inside, especially on the shade of the tight end or maybe even the tackle because of that length and what he could bring to open up some spacing and pass rushing lanes for guys like Scantarian and Luke Ferrelli and Keaton Thomas, depending on what they want. It's just a different it's a surplus that they otherwise have not had in modern history, in my opinion. I don't know what that means as far as wins, but I think it's going to be good.
Obviously we don't know what's going to happen until they play those games, but I think it's fair to say there's a chance that it's a non-defensive lineman that has the most batted balls down. If they utilize this wingspan, I say that because we don't know what they're going to do with him or how that role will evolve over the season. But if they use those arms to that advantage, I think you can see a lot of swatted balls coming down, not from a defensive lineman, but from Maldonado.
Real quick before we go, we heard from Coach O today. She was great. You can read all about it on the Ole Miss Spirit. That's omspirit.com, the affiliate of On 3. Said she's
today for $1.
Yep. Says she's done in the portal unless something crazy happens from a graduate transfer standpoint. One thing I really like what she said, Jake, and I'll ask you first. When she said, it's not so much what they do at the other school, it's what we see in their potential at our school, in our program, in our offense and defense. I thought that was interesting, not only from a women's basketball standpoint, but from a football standpoint. Maybe a Maldonado at a Nevada, maybe a Jaheim Otis at a Colorado, Alabama. What did you take away from that?
I took it away. I think she had to say that because she had a lot of 1.1 points per game. Her stat lines were not great. So I think she didn't say it defensively, but I think there's a reason she said that the way she said it because there were, some stat lines not great. And she acknowledged that a little bit when I asked her outside of 6'5", what did she see out of that Emily Hudson from Boise? Because she was one of those. It was like 1 point, 1 rebound, 1 something. And she alluded to that. So I think that's part of it. But also, we've seen that they've molded these players. I mean, you don't get 2 drafts picks in a WNBA draft if you're not doing something right in the one season that they're being watched because they were watched here. It wasn't what they did before Cody got to Ohio State. It wasn't what Maldonado's done in Nevada. It's going to be what do they do with them here this season in Ole Miss. And so there is something to that. But I think a lot of it is her saying we got a plan for these people that maybe you kind of, turned your eyebrows down to on the stat line.
This has been Talk of Champions from the Manning Center. That's Jake Thompson. That's Brad Logan. I'm Ben Garrett. At Spirit Ben on Twitter. What's yours?
At Jake Thompson ON3.
What's yours? What's yours?
Serious?
At Brad Logan COT. Yeah, I nailed it.
I've tried to buy Brad Logan from this one dude in Nebraska, and he will not sell it to me. We're working on it.
The Ole Miss Spirit, OleMissSpirit.com, Flip on 3. Use this QR code if you have never tried us out. You can try us out for 5 days for $1, right?
Is that the new sale? I know we just quit one.
Yeah, 5 days for $1.
I was so in on the portal one. Now I got to learn the new one.
Yeah, that's why I'm tripping up over my words now. Thanks to Riverland Roofing. Thanks to God for not letting the rain just sail on by. Thought we were about to be in a torrential downpour, and we weren't.
Yeah, we might get inside for that comes because now the sun's out.
Yeah, now it's nice, and when the sun's out, that means Ginger Ben needs to go inside. That's just the way it
And
goes.
by the way, if you hadn't had a chance, go back and watch our coverage on Saturday. It was so much fun from Double Decker. We had a great time at the Riverland Roofing Tent. Thanks, Billy, and the entire team. Thanks, Sudu, that came by and see us. Also, Thailand presenting sponsor, Allen Samuels Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. Go by and see them today at allensamuelsoxford.com or give them a call, 234-8000. Also, our friends over at C-Spire. Thanks to everybody at C-Spire for what you do for us here on the Talk of Champions. And then Game Day Haircut, where Ben has been talking about going.
Got to go.
Yep, we were live on location there. We're going to be live there again. Give them a call or go online. A lot of people came up to me at the game and said they go to Game Day Haircuts. So we appreciate their sponsorship.
A lot of people at the Riverland tent, Elijah and them were talking about how they would come, oh, yeah, listen to Ben and Brad.
Yeah.
So this is the Riverland tent.
Six to be Ben, Brad, and Jake. He just didn't know it yet.
Yeah, Jake
And
and Cody and Sudu.
That's right. For the by the way, the Philip Hearn and the Hearn Law Firm. Thanks, Philip, for all you do. HearnLawFirm.net, 766-7777. Give them a call today. Any type of legal need that you have, Philip Hearn and the Hearn Law Firm will take care of you. Thanks, Philip. We appreciate it.
Real quick, Bradley Voles, I can't really dive into the basketball portal, go to the Ole Miss Spirit, and we're talking all about it, but you did ask a question about TJ Clark. I don't think it's officially official that he's going to be a part of the roster next year. But as far as the rest that you've seen in addition so far, got a commitment today.
St. Joseph's guy.
Yeah.
And Zach put that up while we were talking to Pete, so it's up there for y'all to read about now. Beyond him being at St. Joe, I hadn't been able to read it yet, but Zach had that one covered.
But a commitment came today, and as far as TJ Clark is concerned, yeah, I don't know if he's going to be a part of it or not. But I was told to Meet the Rebels by multiple Ole Miss officials who sought me out to say, make sure people know about the portal. It's a patient approach, and I want to be like, okay. I'm not going to say that because people are going to roll their eyes like, oh, yeah, it's a patient approach. But they say, patience and reserve judgment till it's done.
How long does that patience need to be?
I don't know.
It's tough stuff.
Maybe
Speaking of
New
basketball,
Year's Eve.
Speaking of basketball, round of
SEC
applause.
play.
Rod Barnes headed to Itawamba Community College.
Oh.
Congratulations to Coach Barnes, and maybe he can finish out his career in Fulton. So.
Yep. And I am representing NA today, PB Broom or P Broom in the chat. Never will wear anything anymore.
Well, he wants you in an Engelmar.
As the shirt I made in high school for the county tournament, friends don't let friends go to county schools. Just say no. Bye, everybody. It's the Ben Talking Champions for Jake or Brad. We'll see you tomorrow.